What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA, and man, it didn't take him long, did it? It didn't take him long at all to go ahead and dust off that Rings of Power playbook. Hey, it must be racism, it must be sexism, it must be all of these problems. That's why The Witcher Blood Origin is getting review bombed by the novel and by Henry Cavill fans. That's what it must be, okay? It's not the fact that you made a terrible, trashy show. No, it's all about the Henry Cavill fans being toxic. Okay, it's all about these racists that don't like a woman of color headlining the show. It's never about the show itself. You notice that? Never about the actual show. Now, I actually went and watched this show because I just had to see it. You know, it's like, come on, man, I got to see what the whole hoopla is all about, right? How bad is this thing really? I couldn't get through the first episode. This thing is This thing is dog shit. This thing is terrible, right? Like in the first 5 minutes, I was already laughing at how cringy everything was coming off, okay? And again, I'm not like I would call the biggest fantasy fan in the world, but I know enough about the genre to be appreciative of what a good fantasy show could look like and what it should be doing with itself. This thing just breaks all the conventions, doesn't give a damn about fantasy whatsoever. And it's like I said on the last video, and I'll go ahead and link that up. The people that made this have no connection whatsoever to the fantasy genre. They don't care. They don't buy the books. They don't read books. They just probably watch television, and that's the bulk of where they get fantasy from, okay? So they don't know like common genre conventions. They just have no clue what they're doing, okay? And it's so obvious. It's so obvious. Like, again, in the first, like I would say 10 minutes, I was just busting out in laughter. I couldn't believe how bad what it was that I was watching. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and check out this article right here on CBR.com. So it's talking about all the one-star reviews, not even one-star, like half-star reviews, since its release on Netflix. While the miniseries holds a 38% average score on the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter, Blood Origin sinks even lower with an 8% audience score. While there are many authentic reviews amongst the 2,000 plus reflecting the comments made by critics, there are also many new accounts seemingly created specifically to give a one-star review to the show. In the review section, these review bombing accounts often leave comments about Henry Cavill's exit or the main series deviation from Andrzej Sapkowski's novels. You know, it gives the critics' consensus a shallow excavation of ancient lore from Andrzej Sapkowski's fantasy series. Blood Origin shares ancestral DNA with The Witcher, but little of what makes the Mothership series memorable. This is in line with the early reviews of Blood Origin, with many critics agreeing that the series was both rushed and underwhelming. CBR's own review of Blood Origin said the series deviates from the source material and is unable to offer much of substance to justify its existence despite the best efforts of a talented cast. It seems like CBR is in agreement that, yeah, the show is trash, okay? So the fact that this thing is getting 8% on Rotten Tomatoes shouldn't surprise anybody, all right? It shouldn't surprise anyone at all. And on thegamer.com, The Witcher Blood Origin breaks record for Netflix worst audience score. The Witcher Blood Origin has an audience score of only 8%, but many of these reviews perpetuate racist, sexist, and ableist talking points. Like I said, they took no time at all to break out the old Rings of Power playbook. Hey, if you don't like our stuff, it must be because you're a racist, you know? I mean, never mind the fact that the critics are also giving it 38% on Rotten Tomatoes, and they're saying that it's trash. No. If you guys are hating this, all of these reviews are talking about racism, sexism. That's what it's all about. As reported by Forbes, this is something of a double-edged silver sword for Netflix. The Witcher Blood Origin is its #1 show right now, dominating the holiday season after its smash hit Wednesday. But while it's #1, the people watching it don't seem to be enjoying it. However, digging into many of the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and other sites, a common thread pops up: anger at diversity and the woke agenda, with many upset at the use of sign language, meaning that many of these reviews come from racist, sexist, and ableist standpoints. Well, so basically, if you point out the fact that, yeah, they're doing all of this diversity stuff and this woke stuff, you know, even throwing a sign language user in, okay, for the pure purpose of checking boxes, okay? They're not interested in telling stories about these people in a realistic or a unique or an interesting way. They're just trying to basically check boxes so they can get their, you know, pats on the back and their little salutes. Hey, hats off to you guys for showing somebody that's disabled, somebody that's black, you know, good job on putting those people in your show. If you point that out, okay, and you say that you guys are just pandering to a woke audience that nobody's even caring about or watching, and you're not focused 100% on telling good good stories, when you point that out, this is the reason right here. You're a sexist, you're a racist, and you're an ableist. That's what you are, you little ist, because you care actually about the storytelling and entertainment for entertainment's sake. That's what you care about. And because you care about those things, all right, and not all of these little woke brownie points that they're trying to cash in on, oh, you're just a terrible person. You know, this stuff like you're just these arguments are just falling on deaf ears. Nobody's listening to this crap anymore. Like even in this article from Forbes where it says The Witcher Blood Origin has Netflix's worst audience scores of all time, like everybody's reporting on this. But even in this article, this person really addresses the issue straight up. This is today's update. Have seen some people wondering why we're having a conversation at all, given that Witcher is obviously being review bombed into having such a low audience score, now down to 8% at the time of this update. So a few things to consider. Yes, it is unfortunately true that many fantasy series have cast women of people of color in prominent roles have received racist backlash. And yet, none of those have been review bombed nearly as bad as what we're seeing with Blood Origin. I'm glad he's saying this stuff. He's bringing up points that I brought up, okay? That includes House of the Dragon. Full stop right there. That 82% that you see right there, okay? That's not the critic score. That's the audience score, okay? 82% of people liked House of the Dragon with all the race swapping, women in prominent roles, you name it, okay? They pushed as much of that stuff in there and people still loved it. Why? Because storytelling was priority, okay? That was preeminent. That was the most important thing that they were doing. Got to tell a good story. And of course, it talks about Rings of Power. Even brings up The Witcher itself, okay? It's 75%. So if you want to expand things outside fantasy to things we know were actively being review bombed, many in superhero space, even things like Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, and She-Hulk are still not close to Blood Origin's 8%. Literally nothing is. It's in a league of its own. Second, you may want to actually read the audience reviews before saying it's some specific pushback to diverse casting. Going through them, I see maybe one comment about politics or diversity for every 50 reviews. Yeah, there's not a lot of politics and diversity arguments going on in Rotten Tomatoes. That's for damn sure. The vast majority of them are not about that, nor are they about basically Henry Cavill's departure from the series, but they focus entirely on the weirdly poor production value of the show compared to The Witcher itself and its wooden dialogue and performances. This thing is 100% about the show. Okay, this 8% has nothing to do with just diverse casting. All right, again, you see the critics are even saying, hey, this thing ain't worth watching. Okay, 38%, this thing ain't worth your time. All right, like I said, I got through maybe about, I don't know, 40 minutes of that first episode, and I'm like, look, I got better things to do. I can't sit up here and give my time to this crap. I'm not doing it, okay? And that's the problem. You guys didn't sit down and think about entertainment first, all right? Remember that video again? It's all up in that video, that last Witcher video I did. These guys were giving you 10 reasons to watch The Witcher Blood Origin, and like 9 of them had nothing to do with the story. It was all about other nonsense, all right? These guys do not care about entertaining you, okay? They don't care about entertaining the mass populace. They care about scoring points. This is a checkbox. This is about scoring points with certain groups, certain peoples, their own selves probably, okay? Hollywood is a bubble, and they're trying to talk and, you know, make movies for themselves. They're not making shows and movies for us, the audience, okay? We're not Hollywood. We don't care about none of that stuff. And these guys still don't understand it. Sure, it is certainly the case that Witcher Blood Origin is not the literal worst show in Netflix history, and I don't know about that, as these scores suggest, but to have scores this low combined with low critic scores as well, something has seriously gone wrong here, and it's a big deal considering The Witcher is supposed to be such a massive IP and world for Netflix to grow and expand in the future, and it feels like it's all falling apart now. Yeah, it's completely done, okay? After the Henry Cavill thing is the icing on the cake. This thing was struggling already, all right? I barely got, like, I didn't even finish season 2. I couldn't care less, all right? And then for this to come on the heels of that season 2, which was terrible, and then you get this, and now you got Henry Cavill leaving, and they're trying to do everything in their power to pump up season 3, and they're talking about, it's a wrap, man. It's a cold wrap at this point, man. Nobody's coming back to this, all right? You guys have burned your bridges. It's too late. You're done. Maybe this will be a big kind of oops upside your head. Hey, stick with the script. Stop trying to go off on your own and tell your own stupid stories. If you want to do that, go make your own series, okay? But if you're trying to adapt something, adapt it. Make it something for the fans. Anyway, folks, what do you think about this situation? Man, I absolutely believe that the Witcher is completely done at this point. But go ahead, drop down, give me your thoughts and your opinions on that. And thanks for watching. See you next time.